1.
What's up, y'all? How are y'all doing today? I hope it's wonderful. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to part 3 of our 3-part series of self-love and self-care, because we know that is extremely important. Hosted by your Silence the Shame 2024 cohort members. Shout out to the team. You know, I'm repping the swag. Yeah. I have it right here. If you missed our last couple episodes, please do me a huge favor, like vital favor, and check out our YouTube channel and check out those podcast episodes. It's something, trust me, you don't want to miss. My name is Aubriana Northington Winston, and I'm a rising sophomore at the illustrious Spellman College. I would like to shout out Silence the Shame University. And if you don't know what STSU is, it is a college ambassador training program that focuses on professional and personal development as it pertains to mental health, and it's for eligible college students. So if you would like to learn more, please visit silencetheshame.com and check that out for me. So as I mentioned, we are doing a 3-part series in self-love and self-care. So today I have with me the amazing Tina Bonner, and she is an award-winning entrepreneur, CEO, and co-founder. Let me say that again. CEO and co-founder of Mastering Your Potential, as well as a consultant for the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, which is actually where we divinely met. And I also have with me Ava Makumbe, who is a psychology major at Spellman College. So if you guys don't want to do a quick little introduction.
Yes. So, I mean, you killed it. There's nothing more to add other than I'm just super excited to be here. My background is not only in entrepreneurship, but why I'm here is I'm really excited to talk more about mastering our potential and what does that mean to like really come up to our highest self, our highest frequency. So, yeah, I'm excited to be here. Let's do it.
It's beautiful. We're happy to have you. Thank you. Neva.
Hi, everyone. I'm also so excited to be here. I'm also part of the STSU cohort.
Turn it up. Okay.
Amazing. Everyone is so cool and just really great people. And so, yeah, I'm just really happy and grateful to be here to talk about mental health.
Thank you. And I thank you all both for being here. Sure. So with that being said, we are focusing on the social aspect of self-love and self-care as it pertains to mental health. So without further ado, let's hop into this conversation.
Let's get it.
So my first question for you all is, how do you control negative social interactions and ensure that you're disconnecting appropriately?
That's good.
A thought-provoking question
really
to start it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Negativity. That's okay. For me, that's something that I really have to work through. Still, even now, especially in college when, like I feel like a lot of people struggle with like wanting to fit in or like being accepted and finding people. So I think that I guess like approval is like a big part of my journey. And so that definitely impacts the way that I like view negativity and how it affects me. And so I think that a lot of times I do let it get to me and get to my head. But right now, like I really do a lot of processing, like giving myself time to process what I heard or what I saw, and just trying to figure out what it means. And a lot of the times it's really not about me. So I try to stick by that and just kind of like ride that out in my journey.
You definitely have to acknowledge, like, that's a part of the journey is understanding, okay, this is what I've interacted, this is how it made me feel, and this is how I want to move forward. So I love that.
Yeah, I'll add, when it comes to negative social interactions, sometimes they are warranted, and then sometimes they catch us off guard, right? Like, we may walk into situations and didn't anticipate to have the interaction that we had. And so I think, for me, my take is I don't always make something mine, even though I experienced it. So if someone's emitting certain negative energy or someone's emitting a negative perspective, before I just allow myself to take that and say, yes, I'm going to feel that too. I'm going to, experience or make that my experience too. I stop and say, is this my preference to feel like this, right?
Ooh.
Like, and I
Hold on.
Are y'all
Hold
hearing
on.
this?
Let's run that back real quick. Can you repeat that for the ones in the back?
Yeah,
Real
like,
quick.
And is it our preference? Is it my preference? And I'm
it's a
very
choice.
intentional, right? Very intentional with using the word preference, because sometimes we experience things and we think that we just have to succumb to whatever our feelings feel. But really, if we stop and say, do I prefer to be mad right now? Do I prefer to be upset? Or do I actually prefer not? And then if we can find and identify our preferences, we can say, you know what? I don't feel like being mad the rest of the day. So even though I had this negative interaction with this person, I'm going to let that be theirs, and I'm going to go about my day. And so I think it's just exercising our choices and preferences is how I navigate it.
And I think that is an amazing practice when it comes to understanding yourself and your mental health, what you allow to affect you and what you don't, because you have that power. So
100%.
thank you. Y'all are answering these questions.
That was 100%.
Off the bat. Listen. So the next question I want to ask you guys is, can you acknowledge situations or environments that have made you uncomfortable, and how do you react or adjust to being uncomfortable? And I've recently learned that you have to be uncomfortable to be comfortable. There's no growth in being comfortable because you're doing the same things. You're constantly, you're comfortable.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about that?
I'll jump in. I think the uncomfortable thing is tricky because on this human experience, and clearly we're mental health advocates in our own ways, I think sometimes we get uncomfortable and we don't really know why, right? And I think navigating the why then allows us to make a decision on what to do next. So for example, like let's say we're in a situation, and I'm trying to think of something that's happened to me recently, but I was having an uncomfortable conversation with someone that I truly care about. And I was trying to decide, do I sit in the conversation right now, like stay right here in your face, and do we keep going back and forth, or do I get up and leave, right? And even leaving has its own consequences when you have someone you love. But I think what I had to figure out is, why am I uncomfortable? Have they said something that makes me feel disrespected, or am I actually just triggered and my trauma is speaking really loud right now? Like, is my trauma screaming, and it's really not what they're doing, it's my own trauma making me feel uncomfortable, right? And so being able, I think, to identify why we're uncomfortable then can give us either permission to say, oh no, I feel disrespected, so I'm gonna leave this conversation, or it gives us the permission to say, this person that I love, or, that I care about and having this conversation with, hasn't really done anything wrong. It's just the way they said it triggered me from a previous situation, and it's making me want to run.
So that actually reminds me, I'm reading a book currently, and it's called How We Heal. And you have to understand, a situation on its surface level is going to be whatever it's going to be.
Yes.
How you interpret that situation, how you react based on your personal experience, your trauma, your passions, your interactions, that is how you react, and also how you heal.
Yes.
Because it's not linear.
Yes.
It's you, like you said, you could have that trigger, and it's like, whoa, I feel like I was set back 5,000 steps, and I just did all this work. I just did all this work to work on it. But we have to realize that it's not linear. So those interactions, they matter a lot. What about you, Ava?
Yeah, I agree with what both of y'all said. I think that I feel like a lot of people need to open their minds to being in more uncomfortable situations, because I feel like it promotes a lot of healing and growth, and I feel like in the moment it doesn't feel like that, but in my past experiences being in uncomfortable situations, it was very uncomfortable, and I just I didn't really know how to be in the moment, but I think that being aware of where you are in the moment and how you feel in the moment kind of opens you up to be like, okay, this is the situation, and I'm just going to take step by step to just figure out how to deal with it. And I think that, again, it goes back to processing what happened after the moment
100%.
to really figure out what happened and what you were going through and what the other person was going through to, again, have that healing afterwards. And so, yeah.
I feel like that touches on a very important aspect of self-awareness.
Yes.
Like understanding who you are, your past, who you are now, and who you want to be and become. Self-awareness is so important when it comes to navigating those negative situations and understanding how you want to go about that.
Yeah.
So, This is a good one.
Okay.
This is a good one. What are the steps you take to decompress after having an uncomfortable interaction? And how do you set healthy boundaries? Because I also recently heard that boundaries are how you teach people how to treat you. So understanding this is how I want to be treated, this is how I'm drawing that box, whether physically, mentally, how do you set those healthy boundaries and how do you navigate that? Ava, do you want to start?
Sure, yeah. Again, boundaries is something that is tricky for me. I guess I am a people pleaser. I feel like that's hard for me to admit because confidence is something that I'm growing into, and I want to be able to say that I do show up a certain way, but in reality, it's something that I'm working on. So boundaries is definitely something that I've had to have like a one-on-one with to really figure out, okay, what is something that I won't accept for myself and why also. I think that, like you said, like why is such an important question to ask, and it allows you to dive deeper into yourself and figure out more of who you are. And so, yeah, I think, again, like coming into college, you are going to have to set up a lot of boundaries because you're meeting a lot of different people and getting to know a lot of different people. And so that can be tricky, like navigating those kinds of relationships. And so people may not understand you fully at first. And so I think boundaries are definitely something that needs to be implemented for you to have just peace and also kind of grow into the confidence of yourself and realize that what you value is important and that people need to treat you a certain way. Because
That's a word.
Yeah.
Can we get some baby class for that? That's a word.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I hope there was another part of the question.
I mean, listen, the other part don't even matter. You nailed it right on the head.
I'll say this. I love your authenticity, right? And I think that's something that isn't talked about as much, but I think it's coming to, nowadays people are trying to be a lot more authentic. And so I feel you, right? And like as a recovering people pleaser myself, like there's a book that I think did wonders for my confidence and my people pleasingness, right? And it's called The Courage to be Disliked, right? Okay. The Courage to be Disliked. So for my people pleasers, check that out, right? But one of the things that I think you said from decompressing, right? How do we decompress from those moments? Because being a recovering people pleaser, the natural instinct is to ruminate, which is to like, dang, what did I do? Could I have done this better? Or like, why did I do this? Or like, is this person still mad? Or do they still feel this way?
And you have to realize that doing that in that process of asking those questions, why me, why this, why how, it takes a toll on your mental
100%.
It takes a toll because you're constantly thinking of, hypotheticals, basically.
Right. And it doesn't allow us to decompress. It keeps us at that heightened state. One of the things that I talk about and we teach in my practice is all about and rooted in neuroscience and biology of how do we physically bring our brain down. A lot of people tell us, calm down, right?
What does that mean? What does that look like?
But we tell our clients, don't calm down. You can be upset about a situation, but come down. Come off of the frequency that you're at, which is really high, really anxious, really frustrated. And so some language, right, that can help us with the decompression is to first change our language from calming down, to come down. Just come down off of that anxious frequency, right? The step 2, though, with that, I believe, is once we can like come down from the ruminating thoughts, we can get ourselves to a better equilibrium. From there, it's just take a break from it altogether, right? Because there's a quote I love. It says, "You cannot receive what you're not the frequency of." Right? You can't receive what you're not.
Can you repeat that one more time, please?
You can't receive what you're not the frequency of.
Right.
And the reason why I share that quote is because most of the time what we really want is not just relief, we want insight. We want revelation of like what could have been done differently. We want to get better, but we can't receive that if we're in a state that's still heightened of anxiety and frustration and all of those things. And so the play is like, first thing is just stop. Just stop. come down off of that emotion. Don't think about it. The situation happened. It is what it is, right? Give yourself and ourselves a break from the rumination. Go do something fun. Go do nothing, right? But then when it's time, then we can come back in a better frequency to really examine, like, okay, this is what I could have done different. This is how I could have stand on business for myself better, right? Not even just please that person, but here's what I could have done to make myself more proud.
And that reminds me, my friends, my best friend, we're constantly telling this kind of mantra to ourselves, and it's basically, what's for you shall not pass you, and if it pass you, it was not for you. So understanding that, you know, like you said, you have to be in a place to receive something, and then if you're not, whether positive or negative, it's for a reason. And it's a part of that journey of understanding your mental health and being okay with that and being comfortable, but also uncomfortable in that. So thank you all. The next question, I kind of want to shift a little bit because we are talking about a social aspect, but more so on social media. That's kind of what I want to shift to now, because as we know, present day social media, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, any media platforms, they're so easily accessible. So my question to you all is, what's your relationship like with social media, and what are you doing to keep it healthy?
This is a great question.
I'm going to let y'all sit in that one for a second, because I need to sit in it as well.
Read the question one more time.
So it's, what is your relationship like with social media, and what are you doing to keep it healthy? I think I'm gonna start by saying something.
Yes.
So what I want to do is kind of tailor to the media, and I'm constantly on there looking for ideas and inspiration, but I feel like we kind of get pigeonholed in like TikTok, things like that, where we're on it constantly all the time, and then we're looking at comparisons. We're looking at, oh, they have this seems perfect, I want this. And I've realized social media is fake. Social media is fake. So understanding that it's being posted for a reason, because it wants to be seen. It's not those hard moments, those conversations that need to be had that are going to be posted on social media, things like that. So I feel like what I do, I've started to set a timer on the apps. Sometimes I do skip them, I will say, but I'm aware that I skipped them. So adjusting those and understanding, like, all right, I skipped it again, that's enough. You know, capping myself and understanding, all right, I said it for a reason, so let's keep that up.
I'll say this. I think we all know, and if you don't know, now you're about to be informed. The algorithm has been designed for us to be addicted to it, right? There's y'all know the documentary Social Dilemma that's on Netflix. And if you haven't seen it, it is amazing.
Please.
And it talks about how the algorithm of social media was created. The interesting thing about this is, though, even the employees that are giving the testimonials from Facebook are talking about how they too are still addicted and they built it, right? And so I share that hopefully to also take some pressure off of us. Of like, the timers don't work, y'all, because it's not built to work that way, right? Like, I skip my timers too. And so I think one of the things that I've been doing to try to keep it healthy is knowing, like, okay, we'll skip the timers, but really, what does the timer in your body feel like, right? Being a lot more in tune in my body is like, if we skip it, okay, cool. But if I'm looking for a moment of entertainment or I got a little break, cool, I skipped it. But if I'm skipping it, and I also know that in this moment I'm already in a kind of not the best space mentally,
or have other things to do,
you know what I mean? Like, really taking a more internal approach to say, what does my body need right now, right? Like, what do I really feel like, and will this serve me in that way? And so I think if we just be a bit more intentional, just a bit more intentional and in more tune of our body will tell us, like, in our body, meaning our mind, our spirit, our frequency will be like, nah, you should probably skip that. And then we have to have the discipline to do it. So
thank you. And Ava?
Yeah, I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because I feel like social media it consumes everything. And so for me, like, balance is key. Like, I really, again, like, really understanding what my body's going through and reflecting on how it's impacting me. After I use it, like, I feel really drained, and I'm like, okay, like, I don't feel good. And then it becomes a pattern, and I'm like, okay, I know that it's a pattern because, like, I'm addicted to it, like, we're all addicted to it, and I think that, again, like, it was built that way to kind of, like, exhaust us. And so, yeah, so I just recognize that, and I'm like, okay, I really need a break. And so I also do like the timer thing.
Yeah.
Again, I also skip it. I also skip
everybody
it
does.
a lot of the time.
I think everybody does.
A lot of the time. So I'm like, okay, this is not. I don't know. I feel like I need to change that like relationship that I have with it. And so yeah. So recently, I've actually been. I've actually been like challenging myself, like, okay, like I'll take a day off. And then after the day, I'm like, I'll take another day off.
Right.
You know,
Because I feel like also the longer you go without it, you can realize that you can literally go without
I'm like,
it.
I'm okay. Like, I'm still alive. Like, I have all my body parts. Like, everything's...
I didn't miss anything too
Right.
big. You know?
Like, everything is okay. So I'm like, so I just kind of keep going. And then the day that I get back on it, I'm like, okay, like, let me not take too many shots at myself for it. Because I think for me, like, after, like, I feel bad, like, using it and stuff, I take a lot on myself because I'm like, okay, now you're getting back into this pattern. And, like, I think I can be really hard on myself sometimes. And so, yeah, so I just try to really realize what I'm doing and take those breaks and know that it's okay to take those breaks.
I also feel like that goes into understanding, like, why you're using it. Because for me, a lot of the time when I'm on social media and it's consistent, it's because I'm bored or like I'm in between, like you said, transitioning or I have time. So what I've kind of done is understand that, yes, I will be using social media, but like, what am I intaking on social media? So instead of following constantly the shade room or whatever's out there, like following certain pages, like there's one called The Law of Abundance. So looking at things that constantly have positive quotes, the Silence the Shame page. You all should follow the Silence the Shame page. There's so many different quotes that are so encouraging. So also understanding if you are using it, where you're using it, where you're putting your energy.
Who you're following.
Yes, it takes a big... It makes a huge impact on understanding what you're intaking because that also affects your mental health, whether on a social aspect on the media platform, but it really affects how you intake it and how you see yourself.
Yeah,
for sure.
I want to add one more thing if it's okay. When I think about, part of my work that I do is obsessive over figuring out how the body works and the mind works in relation to work, in relation to performance, and in relation to the things that we have to do as humans daily, right? And one of the things that I think may be interesting for people to understand is how urges actually work, right? Urges or inclination to do that. So like that dead space where we're in transition and the phone comes up, right? And we just start scrolling and it's mindless. Y'all know it's just mindlessly happens. Right. But one of the things that if we call it catching the gap, right, in our work. And that means that like the minute you feel the urge, there's always like a 2 to 3 millisecond of a gap where if we can take that gap and decide, take a deep breath and like, okay, I'm now noticing that I'm getting ready to scroll. Let me replace it with something else. Right. We actually can find success in that as a strategy because really what we're wanting is something to do with our brains and our minds, not necessarily to scroll. Right. And so hopefully that's just some insight for people who are like, okay, how do I be more intentional? Recognize that gap. And when you feel yourself getting ready to jump, just say, okay, wait, let me just do something else. Let me just take that walk.
In that same amount of time that I was going to scroll, 5-10 minutes, let me go paint, let me go outside, let me do something else.
That's it. That's it. Just that small millisecond can empower us to have better actions. So.
Yes. Well, I want to say thank you to the both of you. This has been an amazing conversation. I feel like I've kind of definitely taken some gems with me.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining part 3 of our Self-Love and Self-Care series podcast. Thank you to our guests for your honesty.
Thank you so much.
Your authenticity, as we mentioned, is something that, again, I'm going to take with me once I leave this room. Thank you to Silence the Shame for giving us this platform to be able to talk about mental health and the things that we want to see in the world and how we make that impact and that change. And thank you to our sponsor, DBHDD, who fund this fantastic program. Thank you so much. Please share this episode with your friends, with your family, with anybody who's willing to listen because, as we said, this is a vital conversation that we want to continue to have and to continue to spread the word. And with that being said, support your girl. Support Silence the Shame. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Leave those five-star reviews. What you took from this video, please continue to share. We are also accepting donations, so you can support us and what we're doing by texting silence to 707070. We thank you for tuning in. Please remember to free your feels, take some time, and silence the shame. Thank you guys so much.